Sweater McGuinness, as written by Lou Elliott, 1977. He was born in 1905 in Chickasha, Oklahoma. During his childhood, he lived with his uncle Dave Lane, an Oklahoma City pharmacist. Dave Lane was one of the best wrestlers of his time. In the 1920s, Sweater was just a youngster. He unleashed the Roosters of Frank Perry and Sap Barrett in an engagement they played against the legendary Henry Wortham. Sweater wins with last four Roosters to win the commitment. This happened at the Old Shell Creek Canal near Sand Springs, Oklahoma. Sweater was a professional galler in the whole essence of the word. With the exception of a short stint in the armed forces during WWLE, he spent his life working with roosters. He was in high demand as a pastor and a looser, and spent considerable time with Call, John Madigan, Walter Kelso, Jack Walton, and others. With his preparation method, he developed very strong thighs in the roosters, to the point where they hit so hard that their legs broke. As a sweater looser, you knew all the tricks, legal or not. This is why it was very fitting that he died letting a rooster loose in the Boxwood Quarry in Virginia on December 19, 1959. Sweater was bred by hundreds of birds each year. They were known as Color-Tull McGuinness or Eye-Wisted McGuinness, depending on their colors. Sweater never announces his birds, wasn't selling but was giving away quite a few. His castration method was to release a rooster with 6 chickens on different farms to breed freely, and when autumn came, he would raise the chickens he liked and leave the rest for the farmer to eat. So most of his blood was within reach of those who knew where he released his breeding batches. Many of today's blueface families have their bird origins obtained from these farms and do not contain a single drop of McLean Hatch blood, normally associated with the name blueface. The blood Sweater used in different combinations and appear in certain modern blueface lines include the Madigan Texas Rangers, which are mostly Joe Wingate Brown red bloods. When Sweater was in charge of Madigan birds in Houston, Texas. In the late 1930s, most of the roosters and hens had a quarter or more of Texas Ranger blood. When Madigan passed away in 1942, Kelso and Japhet inherited their birds, which were sent to Kelso's kennel in Galveston, Texas. Sweater paired them several batches, and Kelso and Japhet took turns picking the ones they wanted. But since Kelso didn't like the Clarets or Rangers, Sweater took everyone he wanted. Times later, Sweater decided he needed more speed in his chicks, and I bought a family of 3 spurs from Washington State. The roosters in this family had 2 more rudimentary spurs, one above and one below the natural spurs. I know of at least one modern blueface family that present this feature very peculiar to Sumatran wild roosters. Black Sweater juiced a lot of Sam Bigham's roosters that were Marsh Butcher crosses with Claret. These roosters are the source of the white leg that occasionally appears on some blueface. He also handled Kearney roosters, as did his favorite Jim Thompson mahoganies cast by Bob Lang of Long Island, New York. Sweater said his Thompsons were his secret weapon and left them in Oklahoma when he moved to North Carolina to work for Percy Flowers. Having no idea how his partnership with Percy would work, Sweater left several batches of his players with trusted friends, leaving his Quick McLeans with a friend in Arizona and most of his Thompsons with Billy the Barber Atchley from Oklahoma City, who passed him some very good butchers. In addition to these colorful lines, Sweater also bred many terns, most of them Madigan regular grays, as well as a few Frost and Kelso. These bloods combined them with their various colored lines, and the resulting progeny was named McGuinness Colorados, or McGuinness Gyros, even when they were brothers but of different color.